Hi guys, welcome to week 5 spiral corrections. Make sure if you miss something that you make a full correction, not just the answer, but the work that goes along with it. Number 1, a deep sea diver descends below the surface of the water at a rate of 60 feet each minute. What is the depth of the diver after 10 minutes? Okay, so some keywords and phrases. The diver's going 60 feet per minute, and we want to know the depth after 10 minutes. So since they're going below the surface, that's a negative 60, and we're going to multiply that by 10, and that's going to give us negative 600 feet, or 600 feet below sea level. And I think that would actually kill someone, but that is the answer to the problem. Number 2, write the fraction as a decimal. Use bar notation if the decimal is a repeating decimal. To change a decimal or a fraction to a decimal, you want to do in and out, which means divide the numerator by the denominator, add a decimal 2 zeros, and you divide until it's terminating or repeating. In this case, we keep getting a quotient of 2 and a remainder of 2, so it's going to be 2/10 with a bar over the 2. Number 3, write the fraction as a decimal. Use bar notation if the decimal is a repeating decimal. All right, so I solved this 2 ways. There's a little shortcut, this first one right here. If your denominator can go into 100, you could set up a proportion. And so 20 times 5 is 100, 13 times 5 is 65. So 65 hundredths is 0.65. Otherwise, you can divide and you will get the same answer. Number 4, the basketball team lost their last 6 games. They lost by a total of 48 points. Find their average number of points lost relative to their opponents. So since they lost 48 points, I put that as a negative 48, and it's over 6 games. So we're going to divide, and the rules for integers is when you're dividing or multiplying and the signs are different, you're going to get a negative. So it's either negative 8 points or 8 points lost per game. Number 5, order from least to greatest. So choose the option that has the correct order from least to greatest. So what I did is I know that 3/5 is 6/10, 2/3 is 6/10 repeating. And again, if you have not memorized those ones, you're going to do in and out and divide and make that fraction into a decimal. Then down here, I stack them on top of each other and compared place value. And so 3/5 is the least, then 65 hundredths, and then 2/3. Number 6, replace each blank with a greater than, less than, or equal to make a true sentence. All right, so since these had the same denominator, to kind of show how I came up with my answer, I drew a number line because since our numbers are negative, we kind of have to reverse our thinking. The more negative or farther away from 0 a fraction or decimal or whole number is, the smaller it is. So since negative 10/11 is closer to -1, that would mean that negative 8/11 is greater than negative 10/11. Number 7, replace each blank with a greater than, less than, or equal to make a true sentence. So what I did for this one is I looked at the fractions and I noticed that each of them could be reduced. And once I reduced them, they both came to 2/3, so it's equal. If you didn't notice reducing, you can also change them to decimals and you would see that you would get 0.6 with that 6 repeating. Number 8, write each fraction or mixed number as a decimal. Use bar notation if the decimal is a repeating decimal. So change negative 83/5 into, it will actually be a mixed number. So for this one, I did in and out. So we're doing 5 into 83. And here's my division, and it is a terminating decimal. I get 16 and 6/10. And then again, you have to remember that it was a negative. So it's going to be negative 16 and 6/10. Congratulations, we're halfway through. This is a picture of PJ during bath time. He looks fluffy and big and heavy, but it's all hair. You can look, he is actually super skinny and he does not like baths. Turn the page, make sure you have the following paper in front of you. Number 1, find the area. Again, now remember we are doing both area and perimeter. So remember what area, what you're looking for, as opposed to perimeter. This is a composite shape. I have a rectangle, and then I have a triangle as well. So I'm going to use the area formula for both. So starting with the rectangle, area is length times width, so the length is 14 and the width is 12, or vice versa, it doesn't really matter. And you multiply, you get 168. And then for a triangle, it's base times height. Don't forget that whole divided by 2. And so it's 8 times 12. I took half of 12, which is 6, and got 48. Last part, you want to add the 2 together to find the total area, and I got 216 centimeters squared. Number 2, find the perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around the outside, so I know that this is an octagon. It has 8 sides, and I'm going to multiply by 5, and so it would be 40 inches squared. Number 3, the perimeter of a hexagon is 144 feet. What is the length of one side? So again, we're looking just for one side. We are told the perimeter. So here's a little hint. A hexagon looks like this. So you're going to want to take into account how many sides it has to figure out one side. So hexagon has 6 sides. So if I want to find the distance around, it's going to be side times 6. And so we're working backwards because we know that the perimeter is 144. So I want to know what I multiply by 6 to get 144. So a way to figure this out is opposite of multiplication is division. So I could divide by 6 on both sides, and I get that one side should be 24. Number 4, the area of a square is 144 centimeters squared. What is the length of one side? So again, tells you the area. We want to know what is the length of one side. Okay, so for these, if I don't have a picture, I always draw myself a picture. And so here's my square. Area is 144 centimeters squared. Formula for area of a square is side times side, or side squared. So I'm trying to figure out what number I multiply by itself to get 144. 12 times 12 is 144, which means the side is 12 centimeters. Number 5, find the perimeter. Okay, so perimeter is the distance around the outside. So this is a rectangle, and so formula, there's 2 lengths, and there are 2 widths. So when I substitute my values, I have 2 times 1/2, and I'm going to add that to 2 times 2/3. So this first part right here, 2 times 1/2 is 2 over 2, which equals 1. And then 2 times 2/3 is 4/3. And down at this part right here, I changed 2 over 2 to 1 whole. And 4/3 is 3 goes into 4 once with 1 left over. Add the whole numbers, 2 1/3 inches. Number 6, find the area. Formula for area of a rectangle, again, we're looking for area, how much space it takes up. So it's length times width, and so I did 1 85/100 times 2 20/100, and I got 4 700 centimeters squared. Yay, we finished week 5 spiral. This is PJ. We were outside during my prep period, just getting some exercise. I will see you guys next week for week 6 spiral. Have a good weekend.